All right, guys, in this video, we're going to take a look at congruent triangles, and we're going to review the big points of how to identify congruent triangles, how to prove congruent triangles, and just the general things that would be in this topic. So let's start by reviewing our congruent triangle theorems. So remember, we've got 5 of them. Side, 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 angle, 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 side, and HL. So let's run through these real quick. Just look at some examples of them. So side, side, side would look something like this. I have 3 sides on one triangle that match 3 sides on another triangle. And that one's pretty easy to see, right? Side, angle, side gives people a little more difficulty. I've got 2 sides, and then I've got the angle in between the two. That would be side, angle, side. Now, the reason that people have a hard time with side, angle, side is it looks a lot like side, side, angle. That looks something like this. I've got an angle and 2 sides. Angle, side, side, if it makes a bad word, don't use it, okay? If I have 2 sides and an angle, if the angle is trapped between the 2 sides, so see how we had it before, okay? I had this angle right here, that angle right there. See how they're trapped in between my 2 sides? That's side, angle, side. Whereas if I've got my 2 sides and the angle is not trapped between my 2 sides, like out here, that would be angle, side, side, which would not work. Okay. All right. Angle, side, angle. That's very similar to side, angle, side in the sense that there is something kind of being trapped. Okay. Notice how that side is trapped between the 2 angles. Another way to recognize this is angle, side, angle. If I was to count the angle, sides, and angles, angle, side, angle, and if I were to start here and work my way around, notice that I'm skipping over a side, an angle, a side. Okay, you can skip over a side or an angle when you're counting them, but you're not allowed to skip over a side and an angle at the same time. So that would be a different way of counting them, but that would work too. All right, so angle, side, angle. Angle, angle, side is going to look something like this. I've got 2 angles again. The side, though, is not the side trapped, not the included side. It's outside my 2 angles. And then HL. Now, HL is a special case. We just said that angle, side, side doesn't work, but it does work if the angle is a right triangle and the sides are right triangle sides, okay? So in right triangles with a right angle, angle side side does work, but we don't call it angle side side, we call it HL, okay? For a hypotenuse, which would be this side here, and then one of the legs, which would be that one there, okay? So those are your 5 different ways we can identify if triangles are congruent or not. So let's take a look at some examples here. So how would we know if these triangles are congruent? Well, I see I've got a side and I've got a side, okay? And notice we can't jump to the other triangle, okay? We've got 2 triangles here. We've got 1 triangle, 2 triangles, okay? When we're counting up the sides, we're going to count the ones that match on both. Same with the angles, but we're not going to jump to the other triangle to find some more sides. So I've already counted the one with 1 mark. I've already counted the set with 2 marks. Now, there are 2 other things we need to be on the lookout for. Reflexive sides, vertical angles. There's more than those 2, but these are the 2 main ones we're going to see all the time. The reflexive side is a side that's being shared. See how these 2 share this side right here, okay? So I'm allowed to count that side because it's reflexive or shared. So this would be congruent by SSS. Let's look at another one. Okay, I'm going to count up what I have so far. So I've got a side here, I've got an angle. Now, I'm sorry, I don't know why I wrote angle twice here. Let's try that again. Side, angle. There we go. Okay, again, I'm not going to jump down to my other triangle. Do I have any reflexive sides? No, I don't have any sides that are being shared. Do I have any vertical angles? I do have a vertical angle, right? I've got a vertical angle right here. Now remember, vertical angles are drawn by 2 lines that cross, okay? We end up with vertical angles there. So those are the 2 main things I'm allowed to count besides my markings. And sure enough, I've got an angle, and a side. Now is this angle, angle, side, or is it angle, side, angle? Well, it's angle, angle, side because see how this side is not trapped between my 2 angles. If it was over here, then it would be angle, side, angle. But because it's not, this is angle, angle, side. So these would be congruent. Let's look at another one here. No vertical angles. I do have a reflexive side, right? I've got an angle. I've got a side. I've got a side. Oh, if I make a bad word, I'm not allowed to use it. These are not congruent, okay? Even though I have 2 sides and an angle, okay? I don't have side, angle, side. I have angle, angle, side, or angle, side, side, and it's not a right triangle, so these are not congruent. Let's look at one more here. I've got a vertical angle, so I'm going to count that vertical angle. And I've got an angle, I've got a side, I've got an angle. So this will be angle, side, angle. All right, so that wraps up identifying. Oh wait, we've got one more, sorry. All right, let's take a look. This one is from an old SOL. This is an old SOL question. So once again, we've got those vertical angles, and I've got an angle, and a side. And so that's going to be angle, angle, side here. And actually, this one, they kept it really easy. They didn't even give you the option for angle, side, angle. They just give you angle, angle, side. All right, what about something like this, okay? So we're done identifying. What if I know they're congruent? Notice this little sign at the top. It's like an equal sign with a little squiggle on it. That means congruent. Okay, so I've got that little congruency sign. And then I want to know which angle B equals. Well, B doesn't match with G. It kind of looks like it matches G, but maybe it matches F. Well, here's how you tell, actually. Angle B is equal to, look at the other letter in your congruency statement. If I've got B in the second slot here, then it matches with angle F because F is also in the second slot there. So angle B is equal to angle F. So if you're not sure, you can always look back to your congruent statement and match up the letters. A matches with G, B with F, C with C. Okay, that helps us figure out which angles are congruent to each other. All right, last problem. Let's take a look at, this is, again, an old problem off in SOL. This is an old proof problem. And let's just do a drag and drop proof here. So we've got our options here on the side. So we're going to choose something from here. We're going to stick it in our reason statements over here. Notice how, remember, the first thing we're going to put into our proofs are the given statements. So they've got given us this right here. They put it in right here, and they said given. So our givens are taken care of. Here's the question. Just like we always ask, are there any reflexive sides or vertical angles? Well, I do see we've got a reflexive side here at AC, and look, they tell us we're using AC. Well, AC, that's a reflexive side, so I'm going to choose my reflexive property. All right, so let me clean this up a little bit. So we know that that matches that, and that's reflexive. All right, now I want to know, why are the two triangles congruent? Why is ABC congruent to CDA? Well, I take a look. I've got a side, and a side, so this should be side, side, side theorem. All right, so that's a nice, easy drag and drop proof. A lot of the ones that you might find will be some sort of drag and drop or choose the answers. So this ultimately, between the proofs and the matching the angles and identifying side, 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 angle, side, all that wraps up the majority of congruent triangles.